very warm welcome to you. This is Dalsan TV and my name is Abdelrazak Ali. Let's have a look at some of the stories that are making headlines here in Somalia. Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud arrives in Addis Ababa. Opposition leader criticizes president's trip to Addis Ababa. Somalia and US sign pact for construction of military bases. Now, welcome back. The president of Somalia, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, has arrived in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia. The president was warmly welcomed by the finance minister of Ethiopia, Ahmed Shide. The arrival of the president comes amid diplomatic row between the two Horn of African nations. The president of Somalia has withdrawn attention by releasing photos of President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud's arrival in Addis Ababa, deliberately omitting images featuring leaders of the Ethiopian government. This tape underscores the unwavering stance adopted by President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and his government regarding the perceived violation of Ethiopia, highlighting the persisting tensions between the two parties. According to a statement published on Villa Somalia official website, Mr. Mohamud, accompanied by his delegation, were warmly received by officials at Addis Ababa airport, including Ahmed Shide. While national media outlets such as the national television initially broadcasted images of the president seated alongside Minister Ahmed Shide, Villa Somalia deliberately excluded these photos from its official releases. During his visit, President Mohamud is scheduled to address the assembly, focusing on fostering cooperation in counter-terrorism efforts. The president is also expected to engage in meetings with various heads of governments, organizations, and influential delegations, with a primary focus on strengthening Somalia's relations with African countries and advancing national interest. Mr. Mohamud has elicited diverse reactions with the community, with some perceiving it is a diplomatic gesture, while others believe that Somalia should seize every opportunity to assert its position against Ethiopia on the international stage. The federal government of Somalia and the United States have signed a pact to construct military bases in Somalia. The agreement, signed during a ceremony in Mogadishu presided over by Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud.
Somalia and the United States government have entered into a security pact aimed at bolstering the country's security apparatus. The agreement, signed during a ceremony in Mogadishu presided over by Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, outlines a roadmap for the construction of 5 military bases that will enable the Somali National Army to effectively assume security responsibilities within the country. The Memorandum of Understanding signifies a strong commitment from both nations to support Somalia's efforts in combating threats posed by extremist groups, particularly Al-Shabaab. Mali Fee, the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, emphasized the importance of the partnership, stating that the U.S. recognizes the need for Somalia's army to take on a more prominent role in countering Al-Shabaab's activities. Fee further highlighted the significance of constructing permanent military bases, as opposed to relying on temporary and inadequate camps, which have hindered the readiness and sustainability of the Somali National Army. The U.S. government's investment in Somalia's security, as reflected in the Memorandum of Understanding, demonstrates their confidence in the future of the Danab, an elite Somali military force. The construction of these military bases signifies a tangible commitment to Somalia's stability and security. President Mohamud expressed his gratitude to the United States government for its unwavering support, emphasizing that their contributions have significantly enhanced the capabilities of the Somali National Army in its fight against Al-Shabaab. He acknowledged that U.S. investments have played a crucial role in fueling a formidable strike force that leads the offensives against the militant group. The signing of this security pact marks a critical milestone in Somalia's journey towards self-reliance and a more robust security apparatus. By empowering the Somali National Army and providing the necessary infrastructure, the agreement aims to foster stability, enhance counterterrorism efforts, and pave the way for a secure future for Somalia and its people.
The opposition leader, who is also a member of parliament, Abdirahman Abdishakur, has criticized the president's trip to Addis Ababa. Abdirahman Abdishakur Warsame, the leader of the Wadajir political party and member of the parliament, openly criticized President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud's decision to travel to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, calling it a mistake. This development has sparked public debate and raised questions about the government's public diplomatic approach. President Mohamud recently announced that he will lead a Somali government delegation to Addis Ababa to attend 3 significant conferences, including the 37 African Union Summit, AU, IGAD, and the East African Community Leaders Meeting. However, Warsame argued that if the government deemed it unnecessary, they should have reduced their relations with Ethiopia and minimized the status of the delegation attending the AU conference. He further criticized that the Somali parliament for failing to question the president about his trip, preoccupied with other matters such as amending the country's constitution. The ongoing tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia are centered around a recent memorandum of understanding signed by Ethiopia with the breakaway region of Somaliland on January 1st. This controversial agreement grants Ethiopia access to the Red Sea port of Berbera, raising concerns about regional stability and security. Somalia has vehemently opposed the MOU, declaring it null and void, and even recalled its ambassador to Ethiopia in protest. The president reiterated Somalia's stance, stating that the country will not engage in any mediation talks with Ethiopia until Addis Ababa retracts from the illegal MOU. However, his decision to attend the conference in Addis Ababa has sparked criticism from opposition leaders like Warsame, who question the president's motivation and argue for a more cautious approach towards Ethiopia. The diplomatic relations between Somalia and Ethiopia is undoubtedly a critical conjuncture, with the outcome of these discussions potentially shaping the future dynamics of the region. Now on to our next story. A court in Senegal has ruled out the decision to postpone the elections illegal.
Senegal's Constitutional Council has ruled that Parliament's unprecedented postponement of a February 25th presidential election was not in line with the Constitution. And that's pitched the country into a new phase of electoral uncertainty. These uncharted political waters were first entered when President Macky Sall announced a decree to postpone the vote.
J'ai signé le décret.
He said a dispute over the candidate list and alleged corruption within the Constitutional Council would undermine the credibility of the poll. That triggered widespread unrest and raised international concerns that one of the remaining democracies in coup-hit West Africa was under threat. Last week, presidential candidates and lawmakers filed legal challenges to a bill approved by Parliament which delayed the vote to December and extended Sall's mandate. Critics had called it an institutional coup. Now the Constitutional Council has decided that the postponement law was contrary to the Constitution, according to its minutes on Thursday. It also ruled that Sall's decree be cancelled.
Pour ma part,
The presidency and government did not reply to requests for comment on whether they would accept the ruling. All eyes are now on Sall. The council did not specify when the election should be held, which means it's up to Sall to set a reasonable date if he abides by the council's decision.
There's only one date.
That's according to presidential opposition candidate Anta Babacar, who welcomed the ruling as good news.
We're not postponing.
Any rejection of the decision would risk further fanning public outcry. Last Friday and Saturday, 3 people died in clashes between protesters and police.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Dalsan TV. My name is Abdul Ali. We wish you a lovely evening.